The ladies who were seated at this table, and there were 5 of them my whole life, and the ladies had all been here for some while, they were nice ladies. Oddly enough, we had a kind of a chivalrous attitude on the part of the mill workers. They didn't call these gals Janet or Clara. They called them Mrs. Wolfe and Mrs. Burton and Mrs. Ellis, and I thought that was kind of nice. This process, through a clear lighting, detected what was wrong with the piece of goods that it came off the loom. If a space was missing, they physically sewed it in. That's not as easy as you'd think, because the weave pattern, they had to know what that was. Is that 2 up and 1 down, or 1 up and 2 down, or however the loom was laid out for the texture you wanted? They had to know what that was and sew it in. With the over and under processor, you'd have an unacceptable flaw at the other end. Burling was just another nice word for picking out with a pair of tweezers the stuff that was objectionable, knots or thick parts of the yarn or whatever. It was always kind of funny to think of a pair of tweezers called a burling iron, but that's what we always did. After the fabric has been mended and approved by the ladies at the burling tables, it goes to the next logical step, which is fulling. Now, fulling is only another word for controlled shrinking. The molten soap is dumped by bucketful from the soap machines over at the other side, where we made our own soap, and it's full of hot water, and the fabric is forced through what we call a stuffer box, which gives you the friction that's necessary for a wool fabric to shrink into itself. Now, that can be done indefinitely. You can shrink that piece of carpet, piece of fabric, until it comes out like a board. There are some fabrics, like the outerwear red and black plaids, that you did over and over. But for new styling goods, that's something that has to be many times controlled here. If they want a lighter, fluffier fabric, it has something to do with the way you do it here. It's made as much here as it is on the loom, according to the old timers. And in some cases, for a heavy melton, you would weave it wider than 90 inches on the loom, as wide as the loom would take, and shrink it down to the 60 inches so that it was almost very stiff. The heavy navy blue thing that we used to sell so much of to the standard service station companies, a navy blue pea jacket that everyone who was at the pumps was a uniform for standard. We ran with that job for perhaps a month in the wintertime when business was slow otherwise. We could do that safely. The only thing I can think of that you could manufacture on speculation and assume to sell it after it was over.